Hi, I'm Ashley and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be doing something that I'm super excited for, and that is reading contemporary romance for 24 hours. So for this 24-hour reading challenge, I am going to be doing the timer method. So I will be timing myself until I reach 24 hours, and I will just be timing the times that I am reading. So it will be interesting to see how much I can actually read in 24 hours. It will also be interesting to see how long it takes me to reach 24 hours because I'm going to be doing this in between work and other life things. So this is my stack of books for this challenge, and I'm not sure how many of these I will get through, but I guess we'll find out. So in my pile I have Just My Type, and I'm super excited for this book because I read this author's other book last year, and that was Lease on Love, and I really love this one, and it was a 5-star read for me, so I have high hopes for her new book, Just My Type. And then the second book in this pile is When You Wish Upon a Lantern, and this is a YA contemporary romance with a very interesting premise because the main character's family owns a lantern wishing store, and it's also a friends to lovers romance. And then the third book in my pile is Undercover Bromance, and this is the second book in the Bromance book club series, and I read the first one back in April and I really enjoyed that one. I really like the concept of there being a book club where guys read romance books in order to try to understand women and to try to strengthen their own relationships. And this second book follows a character who is a member of the book club, and it was a minor character in the first book, and I really liked their character in that book, so I'm happy to be reading more about them and to get their story. And then the next book in my pile is Part of Your World. I've seen this author a lot on Bookstagram, and I've especially seen this book popping up a lot lately on my feed, and I know it's an age gap romance, so I'm really interested in reading this one and hoping that I'll love it as a lot of other people seem to. And then the last book on my list that doesn't really need any introduction is Happy Place, which is the latest book released by Emily Henry. And I have super high expectations for this one because I've read 2 of her other books, Beach Read and Book Lovers, and this one I loved. And this one I also enjoyed, not quite as much as Beach Read, but I still really enjoyed it. So I have super high hopes for Happy Place. Hi, so I am back with an update. I have finished my first book of this 24-hour reading challenge, and I finished Part of Your World. And this book ended up taking me 5 hours and 54 minutes to read, so almost 6 hours, and I just ended up loving this book. It was amazing. I didn't want to put it down. I flew through this so fast, and right now this is definitely one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. So I just loved everything about this book. I loved that it was dual perspectives, so you get not only just our main female character's thoughts, but also her love interests as well. And our main female character is 38-year-old Alexis Montgomery, and she comes from a family of doctors, specifically surgeons, but she herself is an ER doctor. She is quite happy being an ER doctor, but her father isn't quite happy with her because she didn't continue on with the family legacy of becoming a surgeon. And then our love interest is 28-year-old Daniel Grant, and he lives in the small town of Waukon, and he's the mayor there, and he does a little bit of everything. He plays Santa Claus, he runs a bed and breakfast, he takes care of a baby goat, and he is also the one who pulls Alexis's car out of a ditch when she gets stuck one night coming home from a family funeral. And that is how the two of them meet. And then the two of them end up meeting again at the only bar in town, and they immediately are drawn to each other. And the romance between the two of them is just so sweet and cute and had so many heartwarming moments. Of course, there are also bittersweet moments as well, with both Daniel and Alexis having doubts about their relationship because they both come from very different backgrounds, and they also have that 10-year age gap. This book made me smile and laugh right from the very beginning pages, and one of the details of the book that made me smile and laugh were the lovable animal companions that were in the book. There was an adorable dog named Hunter, a baby goat in pajamas named Chloe, and a mischievous pig named Kevin Bacon. While this book does have a lot of cute and sweet moments, it also does bring up the serious topic of physical and emotional abuse. Alexis herself had to deal with emotional abuse with her previous boyfriend, and then another character in the book is facing physical abuse from her husband. And I thought the book did a really good job covering and dealing with these serious topics. And overall, I just love this book, and I know this book is pretty popular and lots of people have already read it, but if you haven't read it yet and you're looking for a really good contemporary romance, then I definitely recommend this one. Another review of this book that I read compared this to the TV show Hart of Dixie, and hearing that comparison made me really want to read this book because Hart of Dixie was a show that I really enjoyed. And after reading Part of Your World, I would say that the two definitely have some similar vibes going on. And this book was the first book that I read by this author, and I will definitely be reading more of her books in the future. I know that there is a book that came out recently that's about Alexis's best friend Bree, and Bree was a character that I really enjoyed, so I am definitely looking forward to reading that book. So I'm back with an update. Today is Monday, June 26th, and I have finished Happy Place. So that puts me at almost 13 hours. So I'm a little more than halfway through this reading challenge. And my timer did accidentally reset after I finished A Part of Your World, because after I finished that book, I took like a day off from reading, and then apparently if I don't use my timer for like a day, it just resets. But I caught it back up, so we're good now. So let's talk about this book a little bit. So this book, I loved it. There's just something about Emily Henry's writing that just instantly draws me in and doesn't let me go. So this book follows 30-year-old something Harriet, and 5 months before the start of the book, she broke up with Wynne, who she had been dating since college. And neither of them has told their friends yet that they have broken up, which is a problem because every summer her and her friends go and stay at this cottage in Maine for a week. It's a cottage that is owned by one of their friends' fathers. And then this year they find out that it will actually be their last year at the cottage because the cottage is being sold. So now they don't want to tell their friends yet that they've broken up because the cottage has always been like a happy place and their safe haven. So they want their last time there to be a time of good, happy memories. So now they have to pretend that they're still together. So this book, I loved it. I loved it even when it was slowly ripping my heart to pieces. And this book was heartwarming and bittersweet all at once. You have chapters that are in the present, which are bittersweet because Harriet and Win are not together anymore, but it's also clear that they still have feelings for each other. And it just made my heart ache for them so much. And I just had to know how they got to that point and why they broke up. And then you also get chapters from the past where you see how they first met and you see them falling in love and you see the beginning stages of their romance. And those were just so sweet and cute. And those chapters made the present chapters hit even harder. And I just so badly wanted everything to work out for them and for them to just be happy and be together. And while their romance is a big part of the book, the friendship between them and their friends is also just as important and crucial to the story. The friendship between all of them was very heartwarming and also bittersweet as you see them struggling to hold on to their bonds of friendship as they are all entering different chapters in their lives. And overall, this book just really resonated with me. All the characters and their feelings and everything they went through just felt so relatable and real to me, and this book just grabbed onto my heart and didn't let go. And I think this might actually now be my favorite Emily Henry book. I think this one might have surpassed Beach Read as my favorite Emily Henry book. So yeah, Happy Place is definitely another 5-star read for me. So I have 3 books left on my TBR, and I think I'm going to go with When You Wish Upon a Lantern next, which is the only YA romance on my TBR. I'm going to go start this one. Hi, so I am back with an update. I have finished When You Wish Upon a Lantern. So now I'm about 17 hours into this reading challenge. So let's talk a little bit about this book. So this book follows the alternating perspectives of 2 17-year-olds, Leah and Kai. And they are best friends, or well, they used to be before the boba incident that occurred 2 months before this book started. And they both live in a close-knit Chinatown community. Leah's parents own a shop that sells an assortment of goods ranging from candies and snacks to Hello Kitty things to lucky bamboo shoots to rice cookers. But the thing they are most known for is their wish-granting lanterns. So people buy these lanterns and then they write a wish on them and then they set them free into the sky with the hopes that their wish will come true. And Leah and her grandmother used to secretly grant the wishes of some of their patrons. However, this was before Leah's grandmother passed away, which she passed away 6 months before the start of the book. And now without her grandmother, Leah has been feeling a little lost because her grandmother was the glue that held everything together. And without her grandmother, her parents are tiptoeing around her because she was always closer to her grandmother than her parents. And Leah isn't exactly sure how to interact with her parents anymore. And now to add on top of that, because of the boba incident, she's also lost her best friend Kai. And then she is sorting the mail one day and comes across a bright orange envelope, which that color is never a good sign in the mail. So she opens it and into her dismay, she finds that the shop is actually in trouble and they are behind on their rent, and if they don't pay what they owe within 2 months, then the shop is going to close. And this, of course, devastates Leah because the shop is super important to her and it's filled with all her memories of her grandmother and the times that she and Kai had spent there playing over the years. So she immediately tries to think of ways to try to save the shop, but she quickly realizes that it's not something she can do on her own. So she ends up turning to the only other person that she can think of, and that's Kai. So that's like the main premise of the story. Now for my thoughts. So I found this book to be super adorable and just really sweet. And the majority of the book just really felt like a warm hug. And I found Leah and Kai's relationship just to be so heartwarming and precious. Also, while the book focuses on Kai and Leah's relationship, it also highlights the bonds between the community and family as well. And overall, I would definitely recommend this book if you are looking for a cute and sweet YA book that is friends to lovers that will put a smile on your face and leave your heart feeling full. So I have about 7 hours left in this 24-hour reading challenge and 2 books left on my TBR. So we have Undercover Bromance and we have Just My Type. And I think I'm only going to have time to finish 1 more of these. So I am going to go with Just My Type. Hi, so I'm back with a reading update. Today is Saturday, July 8th, and I have finished Just My Type. So for the 24-hour reading challenge, I am now here. So I have about 2 hours and 15 minutes left. So it's not really enough time to finish a whole book, but I am gonna start Undercover Bromance and see how far I get. I'll probably get like about 100 pages in. But before I start that, I just want to talk a little bit about Just My Type. Just My Type follows 30-year-old Lana Parker, who writes for the web magazine Always Take Fountain, and she writes their relationship column, but it has always been her dream to write about pop culture and books. At the start of the book, Lana thinks her boyfriend Evan of 4 years is going to propose to her. However, instead, he breaks up with her, which completely devastates her and catches her off guard. And to make matters worse, the next day, her ex-high school boyfriend and first love, Seth Carson, shows up at her job. And he has been a traveling news journalist for a while, but now he's looking to settle down in LA and get a job there. And now he has a possible opportunity to write for the Chronicle. But the Chronicle wants Lana's company to train Steph because he will be transitioning from news writing to lifestyle. And then Lana's boss decides that Seth and Lana should have a dating competition. And the two will devise a list for each other that will have 10 tasks that they each have to complete. And Lana's task will be focused on her exploring being single and learning to be okay with being on her own, whereas Seth's task will ready him for a long-term relationship. So they will complete a task a week, and then they'll write an article on each task and post it online for the people to read. And then the readers will be the ones who vote and decide who wins the competition, and the winner will get a column at the Chronicle. So that is the main premise of the book, and overall I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed Lana's character. Her being a lover of books helped me relate to her and made me like her character more. She also loves all things Marvel, and I've seen a good amount of Marvel movies and enjoyed them, so I can also relate to that as well. However, there were times when she said things like "thank Thor" that kind of like took me out of the story a little bit and were a little jarring. However, I feel like that kind of grew on me by the end of the book. And while I did enjoy her character, there were times during the story where she frustrated me. She does sometimes seem to go around in circles and seem to repeat the same mistakes over, and that made me kind of want to like yell at her sometimes. Also, I feel like a part of that stems from relationship drama between her and Seth at times felt a little bit drawn out to me. However, I really loved her growth by the end of the book, and one of the parts of the book I really loved is at the end where she's going through each task and like writing down what each task made her realize. And that part just made my heart happy and made me forgive her for her frustrating moments. Despite the relationship drama between Seth and Lana feeling a little drawn out and repetitive, the relationship was a favorite part of the book for me, and I felt that the relationship was very well developed. My favorite parts were definitely the moments the two of them had together when they were completing some of their tasks together. Those were the most heartwarming and heart-wrenching and beautiful scenes in the book. And they were the scenes where they were reaffirming their feelings for each other, but also talking about what went wrong and what exactly happened with their past relationship. So overall, I enjoyed this, and I would recommend it if you like second chance romances or books with main characters who love both to read and write. Hi, I am back, and I am here to wrap up this video because I have reached my reading goal of 24 hours. So I actually ended up getting further in Undercover Romance than I thought I was going to. I ended up making it to chapter 14, page 167. And so far, I am loving this book. And I am enjoying it even more than the first one. And I found the first one to be really funny, but somehow this one is even funnier than that one. And this is definitely on its way to being a 5-star read for me. Alright, so I'm just gonna quickly go over all the books I ended up reading for this video and go over some other stats. So I started off this video with A Part of Your World, and then after that I read Happy Place. And then the third book I read was When You Wish Upon a Lantern. And then the fourth book I read was Just My Type. And then the last book was Undercover Romance, which I got about halfway through. So that makes a total of 4.5 books that I read in 24 hours. And I read a total of 1,615 pages. I started this challenge on June 17th and ended it on July 9th. So it took me around 23 days to reach my goal of reading for 24 hours. And that was a very realistic look at how long it takes me to read for 24 hours, because I did all this reading like I normally read in between life and work and other life things. So yeah, I feel like this was a pretty successful 24-hour reading challenge. I ended up liking all the books I read and even found some new favorites. Happy Place and Part of Your World are two of my new favorites. And I think the Undercover Romance is also going to be a new favorite as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Let me know down below if you've ever done a 24-hour reading vlog, and if you did the timer method or you read for 24 hours straight. Let me know how it went, if you found any new favorite books during it. Or let me know if you read any of these books that I read in this video and what you thought of them. Just let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and bye!